everyone. This is William del Pilar, your conservative Latino warrior. There is no political battlefield I won't step onto. Why? Because with the Republican Party that has the spine of an amoeba, if we grassroots activists don't rise up, who will? We got Trump elected, not the establishment. And if we want to move the needle, we cannot be silent. This is fired up conservative talk. Tonight's targets, the everything is racist crowd. And with that, let us bring in the beautiful Miss Annette Ross.
Yeah, good evening, William.
Let's get into it. We've had a busy week and we're going to try to hit the stories that may have gone off the radar, but we do want to remind people as well as some stories that are flying under the radar because the only thing dominating the news right now is DHS, the TSA shutdown, and the Iran, Israel, US war, for lack of a better word, or
Conflict.
technically speaking, a word that we used when we were small, police action. But with that, let's just get right into it. I want to talk about is everything is racist now. It's what I call the desperate Democrat playbook. So Democrats and left-leaning figures, whether they're Hollywood or Hollywood or entertainment figures or just the regular sheep, they are increasingly branding ordinary behavior and mainstream policies as racist. I mean, we're going to talk about it, but milk is racist. I was looking at something, I was reading a white paper, and people, white paper, just kind of like a very short type of summary of whatever it is they're trying to sell you or new idea, etc. The first thing that came to my mind is at what point is somebody going to demand to call this black paper or say white paper is racist? Because that's where it seems like we're going. To me, it looks like political desperation because it no longer has the legs it used to. And they're facing erosion in support, especially from a lot of blacks who are just getting tired of it because they know they're being used. They still do this despite the fact that they think the polling looks decent on paper for them to continue. But there's been a lot of hoaxes. There's been recent cases range from a cleared hate crime that wasn't a hoax to milk to pro-life views and Trump's America First rhetoric all being cast as white supremacy. And I call those racial dog whistles.
Mm.
I just want to go with these people. I could have kept on, but I gathered a handful that had transpired over the past couple of few weeks. I'll be generous, the last 3 to 4 weeks. Well, I could have kept going, but we want to bring these to your attention. And it's not because we want a race war, it's because we're not going to unify as a country. You cannot move forward until you look in the mirror. That's right. I'm talking to my brethren Latinos, to my brethren Asians, to my brethren blacks. Until we look in the mirror, we're never going to move forward because we're gonna be continue to believe it's Whitey's fault. It's Whitey's fault, and you're never going to get nowhere in life with that mentality. Because I'll be honest, I would be loath to hire somebody who has that racial mindset because they're a purposely waiting time bomb to explode at the first opportunity they get to play the race card. And believe it or not, I'm just being real, people. Does that prevent me from hiring? No, I've hired minorities in the past quite a bit and never had issues, but that's because I know how to hire. Or so far, so good. Knock on wood. All right, and that first one on tap is a Black Virginia Tech professor on Wubiko Agozino. He claimed in February that white teens blaring rap music while clearing snow and ice from a truck bed in front of his home was a hate crime with racial intimidation and slurs. The pigs, as they used to be called in the 70s, you
Yep.
know, the fuzz investigated and they interviewed witnesses, and they concluded it was routine post-party cleanup. No evidence of bias, targeting, or hate crime intent. And the white juveniles were cleared. So when a false hate crime claim like this gets fully debunked, police find no bias, no targeting, no slurs, just kids cleaning up after a party. Should there be legal consequences for the accuser too? If a Virginia Tech professor falsely frames teens as racist criminals, let's not forget the Harvard professor when Obama first took office with the police campus security. Remember that one? Professor falsely framed the teens as racist criminals. Is that just bad judgment, or should it rise to charges for a false report or defamation? Meaning they should go after him for trying to destroy these kids' lives.
Well, is it racist on his part to say that they can't like rap music because they're white? That
Some
seems
people believe that. They find that as, what's the term?
well,
Appropriation, cultural appropriation.
that's interesting, right? I don't know if I think that he needs to have some sort of, what would the penalty be for something like this? I think
Well,
more than
that's a great question in that
okay,
they you a crime is a crime. You go a bunch of straight guys beating up homosexuals, that's a crime. But
yes,
they've
it is.
elevated it to a hate crime, meaning, more higher charges. So a false report of defamation, when it deals with to me, this is a hate crime. He saw they're white, played the race card. So it would
Okay.
be elevated charge.
But he did he potentially think that they were in some way being making fun of, or do you think that he misunderstood the situation? That's possible.
Right. They found no charges, and that could be the case. Let's say it wasn't.
Let's say it wasn't. Then, um, there's not gonna that's just a misunderstanding in my book. It's a
Yeah, see,
misunderstanding.
the reason I bring up, let's say it wasn't, Wilford
Yep.
Riley, great book. He from 2010 to like 2016 or 2015 or right around there, he documented over 400 race hoaxes. Could not find not one that was legit. 400. If we're such a racist society, why do they have to make all this up every single time? It
Well,
turns
because
out the Obama incident with the black professor accusing the white campus security
yeah,
being racist turned out that wasn't racist. There needs to be some kind of extreme
reckoning.
punishment for these people, or else it's going to continue. Why? Because this is purposely done to destroy somebody, to get your way. Before video, before cans, before any of that, they would play the race card. People will shut up. Then they started to lessen and lessen because people started to innately, to anecdotally realize that
Oh, you love my anecdotes. I wanted to just tell you
it's
something.
a wrong choice of words, but to innately realize this isn't this isn't racism here.
I saw a quote by you love this, Thomas Sowell.
Uh-huh.
Isn't he one of your favorites? I
Yes, yes,
read,
I love
like,
Thomas Sowell.
and his quote was, "It used to be that envy was a deadly sin, and now it's just social justice." I thought that was really interesting kind of quote,
Yeah.
and it sort of
Yeah, yeah,
covers
yeah.
this entire topic that we're talking about tonight. I guess I would say, and we talk about this a lot, we bring these issues up, they're really important issues. You have all these crimes that really weren't crimes. What is at the core? What's at the core? Where does
Right.
well, that's what we need to address. What you
And you
think that
start addressing the hate by putting
having
serious
consequences.
charges. So the person it's like the death penalty. Well, the death penalty doesn't deter anybody. It's because you don't get killed. You don't go to death
Yeah,
until
you get the
30
most
years
lawyers.
later.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
right.
You know,
You get the death penalties when it becomes the kind of thing where they lawyer up and you get the most
you know what
attention.
was rarely done in
What?
the old West? What was rare? You see it in movies all the time, but yet
Yes,
they did it in real life, but it rarely happened. Stealing a man's horse or stealing the cattle, because
and
those were offenses they would hang you for, and it was a quick
that's why it
trial.
didn't
Boom, boom,
happen.
boom. Yeah,
Yeah, Singapore is pretty strict. Singapore has strict laws about things like that, and they actually follow through, and there you go, there's not a lot of crime. So you make a really good point. I guess for me, I am always looking at, like you said, the root cause of hatred. We're gonna talk about Arthur Caplan in a little bit. He was a bioethicist that I know of. I have not met him, but he did work with the Hastings Center as well. And Will Galen wrote a book about hatred. I mean, how do you is consequences enough to sort of diffuse deep hatred like that? I don't know.
no, not if the consequences aren't rapid and well known. Meaning, like I said, with the death penalty, it takes 30 years, so nobody's worried about the death penalty. And
Yeah,
in California, we had that penalty, but Newsom. And the quote, I just saw that quote 2 or 3 days ago.
you
And
did.
envy was once considered to be one of the seven deadly sins before it became one of the most admired virtues under its new name, social justice.
Isn't that interesting? I thought that was a great quote.
And because it's 100% spot
It's
on.
true. Yeah, it is.
That's in essence what he's saying there is class warfare
Yes.
is okay and it's good to go after it. That's the Democrats' talking point. And when you're a victim, you're not brought up with any type of spine to better yourself, to suck it up. I screwed up. And instead of looking at it that way and bettering yourself, you just become a victim. And thus that virtue gets even stronger, the virtue of envy. Yeah.
Right, and they might not even recognize it in the
No,
at
they
core.
don't. Because
It's not
when you're a victim, you never recognize it.
it's not to the consciousness, yes, of course.
And I preach this all the time. But being raised in a third world country, seeing two dictators, but not being affected by it and seeing my relatives, that really impacted me. And the reason it did is they had no out. They had no opportunity. When they were crapped on, there was no getting up from under that. You know, here it's a self-created burden on us. We create this burden and we can easily shed it, but we choose not to. In that country, in Panama and other countries, you could not shed that burden. You were stuck under the throes of a dictator. The Palestinians who don't want Hamas there, Hamas kills them. It's like, oh, no, 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 you disagree with us? And they kill them. That's documented. There are Palestinians who don't want it. When the Gaza war started, a Palestinian protested the Hamas to stop. They killed him in the early days of the war.
But
You
don't
know,
you think that one act of kindness could, create change?
no, not on the scale needed. On a lower scale, yes. An act of kindness can change one person, and maybe that one person eventually grows up to be president. But generally, that's a nice sentiment that does work on a small scale. But the ripple effect, it's few in between. You
Okay,
know,
fair enough.
but that said, if you teach our society to be kind and virtuous and to be able to look in the mirror, then yes. So today, right now, if you teach one person, yeah, but society still teaches you to be a victim. You're a good parent because you're teaching your son or daughter to do that. But society as a whole is teaching you to be a victim. So
Well,
if
as
you have
you
a society that's teaching you
yeah.
to be kind, virtuous, and strong, and teach others how to fish because you learn yourself, then my God, that's the way to go.
Well, because as you would say, probably you are repaid more for taking the victim route. There's a greater benefit to doing that, which is the way so people think, "Oh, that's the game. That's how I win. That's what I need to do to win." I mean,
That's why it's an admired virtue. Okay, let's keep moving here. Let's not forget, people have forgotten already, Trump's America First State of the Union moment. This was at the end of February. He asked lawmakers to stand if they agreed the government must prioritize American citizens' safety over illegal aliens. Obviously, it's now known Democrats did not stand up for that. Now, Representative Janelle Bynum from Oregon called the moment thinly veiled racist and, quote, uncomfortable, unquote, framing the America First language as effectively racially coded. So we don't need to get into this discussion as much. But my point is, my question to you is, why did you say that?
because it was convenient, I think. I think it was a convenient thing to say after the fact, you know what I mean? It works
Correct.
it's
They had nothing else to say. So when you can't move your point forward, oh, you're a racist. That's racist. It's expected to shut the conversation now. There's an individual who I met via emails. He probably doesn't remember me. Mean NFL player. Hell of an NFL player. One of the greatest black male role models you'll find in the NFL. From Compton to Columbia University. Played football from Columbia University to the NFL. A stellar career. I feel bad for him because he never won a Super Bowl ring. His name is Marcellus Wiley. He just called out Ryan Clark, who is a well-known race baiter at best, a flat-out racist at worst. I don't know. I know he's a race baiter, and I know he's made racist claims. And he called him out. He goes, "You're playing this race card, this race baiting card, and you're married to a white woman." Or you were, or one of your kids is mixed. And he just flat out called him out because he doesn't believe in the victim mentality. But he understands, hey, we've had issues as black men. I'm identifying as a black man right now, Annette. We've had issues. I'm kidding.
wouldn't you say that the victim card is played around? And so I think it's played with people with like myself who have disabilities. They can use
Yes,
that
yes.
to
You know what
to
commercial? We're going to digress, but you brought it up. I have
Okay,
to
sorry.
ask you.
I had to
I,
because I
it,
think the
uh,
victim card is alive and kicking in other aspects of society.
but it I don't know why, but it irks me seeing that commercial. I'm proud to be disabled. That went around on Fox. Did you see another one
Yeah,
I'm
I
talking about?
did. Good.
It just irks me. I'm like,
Yeah,
it's not that you should be proud of it. It's who you are. It's like you have a debilitating issue, and you're
yeah,
telling me you're proud to have that debilitating. I'm like, no, that just is so wrong. I'm like,
yeah.
that's your lot in life, but that's not the message I would want to hear. I would want to hear about how you overcame it, how you're helping others. Not that I am proud to be feeling the disability here. It makes no sense to me. What are your thoughts on that, real quick?
Yeah, that's a really hard thing to hear. Actually, it's very upsetting because I think what happens, he says that because he feels like the disabled population feels so disenfranchised. So he wants to say, I'm so proud, basically saying, like, don't dismiss me, don't compartmentalize me, don't fracture me and not have me be whole, I'm proud. So I think he's talking about wholeness. It's a strange word. It's a strange word choice to say that he's proud. Um, we could and should, and it might be interesting sometime just to talk about that idea of disability and how it, and my point saying earlier that an act of kindness often, so often, someone's in the handicapped spot who shouldn't be. And I would have every righteous indignation to be like, I should get that spot. I mean, I literally cannot walk an inch. And instead of getting angry, they see me and I know they feel that sense of like and they're afraid that maybe I would actually say something, but I never do, and I never have in 20 years of not walking. And, I always smile. I do, because I feel like that's gonna go further, and I feel like next time they will think of it. I just think that that kind of anger, an act of kindness or an act of understanding or an act of might have a better chance of that person changing next time they might think about that because I didn't get angry and I didn't make the scene. Maybe
And
I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm just applying that to the
oh
other
no, I don't think you're
talking
wrong
about.
at all. You're not wrong at all. In
You made
fact,
a great point.
I
Go.
would say 80%. I would say 98% of Americans do well. We are overregulated for the handicap. But I mean, it's like somebody does one little complaint and you got to sit there and change something $50,000 for this one person.
I
What I'm
agree.
trying to say is you have to have this, you have to have that. It's like, bro, I put a step here right around the thing. You can just get up. No, 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 you got to have this. I'm like, come on. Now you're being a jerk about it. We are and I'm basing this off of 30 some odd countries. I have seen Panamanians. It saddens me to say this, who will frown, make jokes and all this about that, don't care about upgrading or fixing things for the handicap and whatnot. In this country, we do care. We have created a landscape for the handicap to thrive as best as possible.
Yeah.
We frown on somebody who will park in a handicap and we get him see them walking out. You know, I'm with my parents, right? So my dad is
Mhm.
handicapped, 93 years old, has a bum knee.
Yeah.
I dropped him off and I went to park at handicap and I did it. I parked in a different spot because I didn't want anybody to see me getting that back off.
Walking. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
coach on that. Even though my dad would because I decided, okay, when my dad comes out, I just say, Dad, wait at the curb, I'll drive.
I will get you.
That
Yeah.
to me is the average that's the mentality of the average
Yeah.
American. So but so it threw me aback when I saw it. I'm proud. I'm like, you
I'm
should
proud. Yeah.
be disabled. I'm like, I don't want to say you shouldn't be
Mhm.
proud of disabled. I'm not but I'm like, that's not the message. You know, you
It's
want to say
nothing to be proud of at all. If anything, it's like the curse of my life, but I'm still proud to be a human being and I'm still
exactly.
thriving. Yeah.
Exactly.
And
And
I think that's what he's trying to compensate for. It's like that's a compensation.
yeah, but to me, it was just a bad. It was like a series of. I mean, it was series of
Yeah.
commercials and various people. I just like that's that. It's like your message came out wrong. All right, let's keep working. Let's go through these.
Yep.
All milk in schools equal white supremacy. To me, that's a dog whistle. In the debate over the Whole Milk for Healthy Kids Act, signed January 14th, 2026, bioethicist Arthur Kaplan argued that, quote, drinking whole white milk, unquote, has become part of far right and white supremacist signaling, tying it to fascist campaigns and Nazi health messaging. So what happened during the Nazi times? They pushed and promoted whole milk to drink. Every culture has pushed and promoted whole milk to drink. African cultures push drinking whole milk. Every culture has, but he zeroed in. Well, Nazis did it, so it's racist. This is what I'm talking about. I mean, is it? Do people actually believe this moron? To me, this bigot. He's a big. And you see the other thing in that. Why is it always? I mean, don't get me wrong. The Jasmine Crockett's and Maxine Waters and a bunch of others, but 90% of this is being pushed hard by that white or suburban woman or older man. I mean, the Kings. There was a woman at the No Kings
Protest.
event. Yeah,
Mhm.
and so, well, the guy's trying to be smart, be a smart, think about it, goes, It's pretty white out here. I don't see not one black person." It's an older white lady. "Oh, no, they can't come out in the public. It's too dangerous for them, so we've gotta speak for them." I BS you not.
Mhm.
As a Latino, I'm never gonna be mistaken for a Latino, but I've got my brown relatives, my black relatives, and I had one year decades ago tell me, "Hey, we got a lot riding on you helping our cause." And I'm thinking, "Riding on what?" I'm struggling to make a buck too, But it just is. It's always. I mean, do people actually? I gotta say, I think they take these people seriously. Some of them still do. What's your thoughts? What's your thoughts
Okay.
on?
Well, Arthur Kaplan is actually a very renowned bioethicist, and he's been around for a long time. And
But hold on now. What's a bioethicist?
so
Do
a
you know?
bioethicist, yes, I do. A bioethicist is someone who basically talks about and their life work, he's written like I think he's written like 35 books, is about issues that have to do with like bioethics, like transplantation or end of life or palliative care or certain studies that are done like are things like are they ethical medical issues that are they ethical brain research things are they ethical even animal rights are they ethical how animals are used in research things of that nature that covers it's a pretty big scope. Bioethics is a really big scope. He's not at the Hastings Center, but I know he's done work with the Hastings Center, and he is, very well published. And they seem to in the media go to him a lot for his. If let's say there was the cloning of an animal or something, they would get his comment, right? I'm just saying, why are you laughing? I'm telling you what Arthur Kaplan's
Just
all about.
laughing because you're building this guy up, and
No,
he knocked himself down
no,
a
I'm
thousand
saying
eggs with that comment.
this is why people might take it seriously. When I think of whole milk, the only thing I think of is everybody knows it has more fat content and it's better for you. I always, if I had a choice and it was, I could go whole or 2% or non fat, I'd pick the whole milk for the kids because I know it has more fat and the that's a good fat. So I'm not sure that's why I'm like, yeah, he's got some credibility. So why is he saying such a terrible thing? I mean, he probably knows that there are benefits to whole milk.
He's a liar. He put his ideology
In
before
front
common
of,
sense.
yeah,
He
in front of
he's
truth,
using
really.
capital. They call it political capital. He's using some of his reputational capital. But I think
Sure.
this completely backfires because even the dumbest guy is gonna be drinking milk. Huh?
Right, right. No,
Okay.
given the choice, of course it's better for the kids if they have that as an option. So I don't know where I was giving him the kudos that he's due. He really is a very interesting person and he
No,
is
I
good
get it.
about ethics. But this seems like a very low-hanging fruit and it seems like it's an attack, just like you said, to be political, maybe to be provocative. I'm not really sure what's behind it.
To me, this is classic case of what's that Bush saying? The soft bigotry. Uh, 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 the big meaning he's a racist because he views himself as superior to minorities and believes he needs to help them. So he believes comments like this. So I will give him his platitudes. He's a moron. You know, he's a moron.
Fair
All
enough.
right.
I never said he wasn't a moron. You can have write a lot of books and be a moron.
That's right, and he has proven that to be the case. I'm speculating, but I'll take the over under on that. Pro-life views labeled white supremacy. Pro-life views. You are a white supremacist,
I
Annette
am.
Ross,
I
as a
know I am.
pro-life
That's for sure, right?
individual.
N-
Notre Dame professor Suzanne Osterman had previously claimed that pro-life positions have roots, quote, have roots in white supremacy and racism, unquote. Let me repeat that. She claimed that pro-life positions, quote, have roots in white supremacy and racism, unquote, and are embedded with misogyny in public writings on abortion. She was tapped to become the director of the Lou Institute for Asia and Asian Studies. I guess it's an extension of Notre Dame over in the Asia area or in Asia somewhere. I'm guessing it's a big wig position. I looked it up and I knew it 3 weeks ago. And a wave of backlash from bishops, cardinals, Catholic groups, and pro-life advocates pressured the university. The director of the Lou Institute for Asia and Asian Studies, oh, here we go, is basically a mini dean for all things Asia at Notre Dame. So in essence, she would
yeah.
stay at Notre Dame, but she would have been seen as the authority on all things Asian. I have Asian in my family, so I spit on her. We are pro-life. I'm not a Catholic anymore, but pro, most Latinos and be Catholic. Quick question here. First of all,
This is a
thoughts
good
on her
one.
comment? But second of all,
Yep.
you should fire her or bleep. You know, I mean, it's like if
Yeah.
you're a pro-life religion, dismiss her. Now, for the audience, the reason they don't is they can dismiss her, but it's going to take a long time. It's not worth the headache. I'm like, go catch her in an affair, go catch her something. Get rid of this woman. Your thoughts, one, on the fact that you are now a white supremacist,
I know, I know.
and
Well, I
two,
mean,
signify her.
easy and pretty interesting. If you're pro-life, as I am, you're pro-life for everybody. You're pro-life for everything. I mean, I even go so far as like if I can and have actually saved animals. I'm pretty pro-life, like across the board for every living thing, and I believe in life. I respect life, and I try to protect life. So I'm not looking at any race as now. This is why she's actually, um, this is not the word ironic. So what she's saying that pro-life stances are racist. Is she saying that they don't have access to kill their children? I mean, does she you know what I'm saying? How is that a racist thing to be pro-life? Like, you gotta take that a little bit further down the road for me, because then maybe she's saying, does she wanna make sure that they have more access to not be able to reproduce? And
You know
how in the
what?
world would
You're right. You're right. You can
yeah.
get into the weeds, but it's pretty self-explanatory and shouldn't matter. She's saying if you believe in pro-life, you're racist.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, but that means that I wouldn't want. But no, that doesn't work, because if you're pro-life, you want everybody to reproduce and everybody to bring forward their life, the life that they could potentially have inside of them. It's across the board. I'm not pro-life for my race and not for another race at all. I'm pro-life for all races. So I don't her argument doesn't is it fails the test of pro-life. What is she you know what I'm saying?
No, I get it, but she never actually. She wrote like 10 or 11 op-eds on that, and she claims that pro-life laws have roots in white supremacy and racism, and it comes from her argument that historical U.S. reproductive laws were created and enforced within racial power structures, and that modern abortion restrictions, she believes, continue those patterns, and that framing
Right.
appears across 11 op-eds. See, that's still nonsense to me. But where
It
I
is.
will agree with her is on the flip side, and the founder of Planned Parenthood at the time.
Is her yeah, I okay.
But to me, it's like, yeah, that's all rooted in racism, but she won't call that out.
And
So
I
her
think
core
she's
argument
actually
is
saying
that
the
abortion.
same thing. Go ahead.
It's just her core argument is that abortion restrictions come from racial power structures because these laws were created or were reflected white male Christian control over women's bodies. So what she's doing is she's to me it's a dumb argument. It doesn't
Yes,
matter who made the laws there. It was meant to protect life.
yes, across the board. That's correct. So she's basically
Yeah.
saying we're not giving certain races enough of a chance to kill their own.
She's
That's
dying. She
crazy.
ties abortions to forced pregnancy, which she calls violence. So the proliferation of humanity is now deemed as violent. And let me be clear on this. We are a dying nation right now. Society has shown this. I learned this about 20 years ago,
Yeah.
25 years ago. Once a society stops reproducing more than the immigrants or the people brought in, that society is eventually overtaken. It is part of the Muslim slash Islam plan to take over areas, to outproduce them, out reproduce them rather. So the proliferation of a culture is dependent on the culture moving forward. That there's a reason our culture's dying, and that's because of the feminist movement. Women are, and I am putting this on women. You want to have your baby in your late 30s, early 40s, knock yourself out. But too many of them start whining and crying, I can't get pregnant. Why can't I get pregnant? Because you're 35, 40, 45. So you can still technically get pregnant. It's going to be much harder than when you were in your late teens, early 20s. And I'm
Well,
not saying that at what?
late teens might be a little early, but in your
No,
20s for
back
sure.
in the day, when young, I'm not saying I'm not advocating for a girl get out of high school, get pregnant. I'm not, but that's that's when a woman's most highly productive is late teens, early 20s. I forget what age. It's not you're not at that 100%. You're not at that peak moment. It's very early in life.
I don't think, though, the problem with our reproduction, and you're right, we're not reproducing, is has to do with people just waiting. I think a lot of people are actually choosing not to have kids too, and having
That too.
problems having
No, no,
kids.
that. I'm not saying that's a whole problem, but
Okay.
that's a big chunk of the problem.
Yeah, it is, it is. So the point really
Margaret
with this. Go ahead.
I'd say
The Notre
Margaret
Dame
Sanders. I was gonna say Margaret Sanders. It's,
singer?
Sanger, Margaret Sanger.
Singer. I had her confused with the lady who wrote Handmaid's Tale, I think.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but yeah, I think the whole point with this lady is she's looking at it from a very narrow lens, because anyone who is pro-life is really pro all of life. We're not
Well, let
looking
me
at
ask you this.
any. Yep.
Is she looking at it from a feminist point of view?
I would say probably yes.
Yeah. I'll take it
I'm
one step
probably
further,
I'm probably not
feminazi point of view.
I'm probably not that much of a feminist in the end. I'm probably not a great feminist.
Oh,
Not
feminists hate it when I brought it up and made a girl in college cry. Of course, we were all a little tipsy after drinking, but she wouldn't stop. And eventually I just went off on her. And then she started crying. And my friend who had invited me there, dude, what are you doing? We gotta go. They're all upset at you. Yeah. And I'm like, she was a feminazi. But then when somebody actually stood up to her, she started to cry. See, that's one thing I don't like about feminists. They want their cake and they want to eat it too.
that's very true.
All
That's
right.
very
So let's
true.
go to a case that's in the news today. I just
Okay.
saw it in the news today. San Francisco's grandpa Vicha, hate crime. It's
Mm.
off on reality. So it was 2021 killing of an 84-year-old individual. Grandfather is Vicha Ratanapati. It was San Francisco. It was a national symbol of white supremacy and Trump era anti-Asian hate. Even though the attacker turned out to be a young black man who killed the guy. Activists and politicians pushed the hate crime storyline and systemic racism framing, but the trial outcome and sentencing showed a much softer approach for the violent offender. Once he realized he was a young black man, it wasn't the white guy. They changed their tune and they said they had to rehabilitate him. So Judge Linda Colfax sentenced the 25-year-old Antoine Watson for murdering somebody in broad daylight to an 8-year term that was effectively probation with time served. A jury, now this is in San Francisco,
Yeah.
uber leftist court. You
Mhm.
white people in that jury, if anything bad happens to somebody, I hope it's you because you're allowing a killer to walk on the street. A jury acquitted him of murder, instead convicting him of involuntary manslaughter and assault, and his roughly 5 years in county jail were credited as time served. Now, the judge did not care about the victim. She did not care. And what's my proof? She was more concerned with him, talking about his rehabilitation, that he will be, quote, better rehabilitated, unquote, on probation than in prison. That's not her job. Her job is to serve justice for the victim. That's her job and epoxy on this woman and her family. And people are like, wait, that's pretty harsh. No, because if this guy does harm to somebody, that jury and that judge is responsible. Blood is on their hands. I always say an eye for an eye, tooth for tooth, but it really doesn't mean that in the Bible the way it was written. But it's a great saying. And that's my take here. She said that in prison and warned that a more incarceration would have a quote, poor impact, unquote, on him. So she prioritized therapy, services, supervision. Recidivism is well over 80%. So the odds statistically of this guy committing another crime at this level is pretty high because he got away with it once. Now, the DA asked, and the family asked for the maximum prison sentence. This goes back to, remember, it was a Palo Alto, Stanford area where that swimmer kid, frat kid, had raped the girl or something, and the judge
Yeah.
gave him probation. This happens over and over. How many the mental midget out of Charlotte that killed the girl because she was white, the Ukrainian girl because she was white. The illegals released 30 times. We had these judges. Somebody, I want to say it was Clay Travis of Outkick, one of these big influencers. He posted something, and Elon Musk retweeted it. Somebody posted it, and it said, in many states, a bartender is liable for murder or whatever happens if they give somebody too much to drink and they go out and kill somebody.
Really?
Yes, yes, yes. Remember
Mhm.
the family, and I can't remember where it was. It was a blue jury, found the parents guilty because their kid got the gun and killed somebody, and they had to serve time. Why don't we do that as judges? Why don't we do that for judges? I mean, it just seems that Grandpa
Mhm.
Vicha is a victim and somebody else is going to possibly die because we have a judge who does not want to do their job because they get to go home to their nice suburbs. If anything happens to a judge, the full fury of the government tries to come down. They treat it as if that judge is God or Jesus that has just been murdered and they want to track down the killer. But for the people that are that are released, nothing happens with the victims. Your thoughts on this travesty?
Well, I mean,
Well,
he
first of all, and
pushed
then
he
your thoughts
pushed
on the
you
fact,
you
your
you know that
thoughts
he pushed
first.
him. You know that he pushed him. So
Pushed
he
him.
was
No, he pretty much threw him. Look at the video of this. That old man goes flying. Boom. It was a bit more than a push.
shoved well, it says in the statement that you
The
gave to me
way
that
this, I saw the video and I'm like, that's that guy. That poor guy was light as a feather the way he went flying and the way he hit.
really, I did not see the video of that.
Oh yeah, you see the video and you'll get just as angry. Here's the thing about video and that Ray Lewis, not Ray Lewis, Ray Rice, stud running back for the Baltimore Ravens, was on the downtrend of his career.
Mhm.
His girlfriend made claims and all that. He settled it out. Everything, everyone's on their merry way. Then the video came out months later, and boy, it blew up because he beat the hell out of this woman, and they let him go. Why? Because he was no longer the stud he was before. And my point to you is, when you have video, that completely changes everything, and it's vicious.
Mm.
What happened? It's like the video of that illegal just walking by the 86-year-old Air Force veteran or whatever and pushing him into the tracks. It's like a movie. It's gory. So
Oh,
videos make a difference. So
get
my
our
first question to you is:
Go ask me the question.
they wanted to make this a white crime. Then it came out it wasn't a white person, that it was a young black man, and then the judge lets him off. Your thoughts on, and to me, it's not that he's black. To me, it's, well, the fact that he's black to counter the white supremacy. Hey, it's a black guy. So what's your take now? But to
Yeah.
me, I don't care if he's white, black, Latino, Asian. He needs to go to jail for a long time and be put away for that heinous murder. That was a murder, you know?
Well, I did not see the video. That would probably be very disturbing to me. So you're saying you think if it had been a white young person that this whole thing would have played out differently?
We're seeing
Mm.
that happen. We're seeing that happen already. We're seeing long sentences for a lot of white people, which can be seen as just, and a lot of minorities being let off the hook. And the issue isn't that they're minorities; it's you're letting a criminal who's going to do it again off the street with recidivism. I don't care if he's white, black, or Latino. Recidivism is a statistical fact you cannot ignore, and these judges are purposely ignoring it. We're seeing it. People arrested 30 times. Look at the illegal from the Maryland family, man. The guy was a
Mhm.
sex trafficker. And the judges are being ideological. Judge Boasberg, He doesn't care about justice. He doesn't care how many people die. He cares about winning the ideological battle.
Then I definitely have my answer. I mean, doesn't Lady Justice have her blindfold on?
That's my point.
That is the point. That is the point. Lady Justice is supposed to be blind. That's why your point is it doesn't really matter any race for any of these people. It's colorless.
That's right.
I mean, it is just does the consequence serve the crime or serve the people who are the victims of the crime? And that's just should just be a blanket, a much easier decision to make.
And you asked earlier, well, is this happening to white people? What about the subway guy with Daniel Penny? Remember him, the Good Samaritan?
Oh,
And Alvin Bragg wanted to send him to jail because he was white. And the black kid
mm.
who had done something similar, that never made the news, but Alvin Bragg didn't even prosecute him. See, so it is happening. And with
Does anyone know what happened to the man who stabbed the girl on the bus?
no,
With the
we don't
street
yet.
mm, interesting.
People say, why are you making that a race issue? Well, because when he walked away, he said, I got that white girl. That's a
Yeah,
hate crime.
it's
Oh,
hard
he's
to
mentally ill. William, I don't care. Put him in a sanitarium. The man does not belong. And in fact,
yeah,
they say
some other
that if
people.
they say you'd rather go to prison because you never get out of the sanitariums because that's a grift unto itself. The longer they keep you in there, the more the state's going to pay. So getting out of a sanitarium is harder than getting out of prison.
Oh,
It's a one cycle. But the point is Democrats in the media use Grandpa Vicha as proof of MAGA-driven white supremacy and racist violence against Asians, and which was a complete lie, which those of us who have been around a lot of Asians, a lot of blacks in the South and in the military, will tell you there's some kind of cultural issue between Asians and blacks. They don't like one another as a culture, generally speaking. So when a lot of these hate crimes,
I didn't know that actually.
anecdotally, anecdotally, we realize it's probably going to be high black on Asian. Or sure enough, with like 80% of the hate crimes done towards Asians in San Francisco over the last few years were black to Asian. But the media is like we've always been at it. There's
Mhm.
something there, and who has thought about? Let's dig into this. Why is this happening? I don't know if anybody's ever done that. But so when I saw this, I'm like, it sounds a little fishy to me. And sure enough, it was. So it is a two-track game. It's maximum outrage to create a perception of a lie and race baiting. Wilfred Riley has got a great book on statistics,
You
race.
love statistics.
Yeah, yeah. And I look at statistics and I look at them. All right. So what's really hiding under these viral outrage clips? A burned out playbook, Annette, where racist is the last card left in the deck. Call it out when you see it, people. And as always, push back from the lies.
Oh, we're at the end?
Yeah, that's the end.
Oh my gosh, we did it. It's always a pleasure talking to you, William. Well, I know I try to you get fired up. I know I try to temper the fire a little bit sometimes, but I always learn something and I always enjoy our conversations.
And with that, I
Mm.
guess that's your show. That's
All
right.
right, pray for
Right.
our troops.
That's right. This is Fired Up Conservative Talk. If you like this no nonsense style, make sure you're following Grumblings Media on YouTube and Rumble so you don't miss the next round. I'm William Del Pilar, your conservative Latino warrior. And for my one woman panel, Miss Annette Ross, and you'll catch the G Man X go round. Thanks for stepping onto the battlefield with us. Stay loud, stay sharp, and never sit down when the country needs you standing. Hey everybody, this is William Del Pilar, founder of Grumblings Media, and I want to say thank you for watching our content. If you want to support our all-volunteer efforts at Grumblings Media, smash the subscribe button right here. 100% free, and please consume and share our great content. Click either one of these two boxes for more of our work.